To get a deeper look at some of the border-related issues that continue to capture national attention. On the heels of a visit from Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, we wanted to get a better sense of what everyday life looks like for people whose livelihoods are rooted in this region. We assembled a panel that included ranchers, businessmen and women, and community leaders in Santa Cruz and Pima counties. Our discussion picks up at the historic Low House in Tubac. You all represent various parts of Santa Cruz County, and I want to begin with a question for each and every one of you. How fair is the representation that you, as residents of Santa Cruz County, that you get in the press?
I don't think that we get a very fair representation from the media to Santa Cruz County. I work for the Nogales Chamber of Commerce, and I also represent the Tourism Center. And I can tell you that I feel very safe in Nogales a lot of the times. I get a lot of compliments from tourists, from international visitors, that they love the way that we live here.
When you talk about Nogales, you should be talking about international trade. You should be talking about billions of dollars worth of commerce. And that is very hard for us to get recognition from the federal government that that's happening in our community. If you just look at our customs staffing, we're at a 30% deficiency in our port of entry. And that is affecting businesses, small family businesses, and it's affecting county and city sales tax revenue. It's affecting county property tax revenue. It's a really, really bad, those are really bad situations. So when we get high-level people into our community, it's really good for them to see that the Deacon Port of Entry is deficient and it needs to be redone. It's really good for them to see the Mariposa Port of Entry, which was a huge community effort to get that built and what that's meant to our community.
When the National Guard was coming to Santa Cruz County, okay, the media was presented it like if it was something really negative. If you would have asked, people from the community, they would have said, you know what, it's something positive. We were very happy that they were here because we know that it's going to be a secure community. But at the same time, they could be our ambassadors to go ahead and bring their families or relocate, like right now with the U.S. Customs, that we need more officers in our ports. That would be something good.
First of all, I love living in Santa Cruz County. I think Santa Cruz County is a great place to be. Like any county, we have problems, and particularly a border county, we're going to maybe have more acute problems than others. In fact, I was being interviewed for another media program some time ago, and you talked about fairness. And I made that statement, and the moment I made it, I knew that I would be on the cutting room floor because I knew that's not what they wanted to hear. Do we have challenges? Absolutely. Do I think that some of the Border Patrol policies are so parochial and entrenched that they're not open to other solutions? I absolutely do. I think that as a community and a compassionate community, but yet one that obviously will honor protecting the border that we have, I think there's some solutions out there if we can just kind of work together and pull together with it.
I think the farther away you get from the border, the scarier it is here. And for those of us that live here, it's a pretty normal place in most regards. I'll tell you one brief story. I used to live in Detroit, and people would look at me with a mixture of fear and confusion when you said that. They could not believe that you lived in Detroit. And it's very much the same when you tell somebody in Michigan or Iowa that you live near the border. They think that the hills are teeming with MS-13 members.
Stuart, I met you probably about 15 years ago when I-19 was getting the checkpoint very near your family's property. What is your place like?
We haven't seen anything out of control in Amato at all, not like 15 years ago. And it was getting attention then, but today I think it's insulting that this migration flood is mayhem and that we have all these horrible people flooding us, and there are women and children in need, and we are refusing to do anything compassionately about their situation. We have forgotten the notion that when we help others, we help ourselves.
Sue Chilton and her husband Jim own a ranch in Arivaca that borders Mexico. We featured them last year on Arizona Public Media, and Jim shared his concerns about border security.
People have come through here just trying to get into America to work. Just good people. Problem now, it's drug packers.
Since then, little has changed for the Chiltons.
For us, it is a real and daily problem. We have 5.5 miles of the border as our southern pasture fence. There's a wall in Nogales, a wall in Sassabee, and 25 miles of 4-strand barbed wire in between. If you lock one door and lock another door and leave the window wide open, just where do you think people come through? It is not, in our case, women and children who are seeking asylum. It is almost exclusively drug packers. The United States makes the magnet for that drug business. We are in no man's land. Call 911 from Arivaca and see what you get. They'll come investigate your murder after it's, you're already cold.
The conversation then turned to border enforcement, whether or not current strategies used by the Border Patrol are effective, and the impact of the agency's checkpoint along Interstate 19 just north of Tubac.
That I-19 checkpoint and all of the related infrastructure is the first thing. It's the gateway to our communities. It forms the first impression. So we live north of an official international border, and then we live just south of an artificial border. And it's people don't understand what it's like to have that in your community and have it between you and your daily activities.
And as a business person in this community, that's really hurt. There used to be a lot of tour buses that would come down from foreign, people from foreign countries would come to Tubac because it's the place where art and history meet.
The first comment that a national visitor that comes to the border, they ask you, is it safe to be in Nogales? But if you go into Canadians or international, they don't bother about that. So it's very, you see the difference between the two tourism coming to the area.
But the lion's share of the people that we see walking through our communities are not drug smugglers. Can we agree on that?
Not down here, or not in the corridor.
Not
here.
in this corridor. There are people who are looking for a way for a better life.
Well,
That,
In Sue's area.
You're not in the corridor, Sue.
there's 20 miles between Arivaca Road that runs through the town and the border. But Arivaca Road is the de facto U.S.-Mexico boundary in that area. Secondly, the road from Arivaca down south to the border is a very slow road. It's about 20 miles from our house to the border, and it takes about an hour and a half. Next thing, if you hear, it's too rugged to build that border road that parallels the area. It's too difficult to put up any kind of interdiction or have a forward operating base. No, it's not. Anybody ever been to a ski resort? You know what American civil engineers are capable of doing?
Wow, it's great to see a nice turnout. It is. And I want to say welcome, Secretary Nielsen. Thank you.
Gary, you got to sit down with Secretary Nielsen. She get it? Does she understand what's happening down there?
One of the things that was poignant to me, and of course this is just really down in the weeds, but is that when you spoke, she was taking notes. She was actually considering what it was that was being said. Now, whether she can agree with it or whether she can do anything about it, I don't know, but at least I felt like she wasn't just sitting there waiting for a photo op. She was writing things down, coming back and asking questions, maybe being challenging in some cases and saying, okay, Gary, you presented a great concern. What's the solution to that?
This is one of the first times that you've had the head of Homeland Security come to Nogales and actually engage local people. And that was a huge step forward. But what's happening with business people and the billions of dollars of trade that are happening, they also need to understand that. They also need that they have to facilitate that, or it goes away. It goes away to California, it goes away to Texas, or it just plain goes away to another country.
How can we fix the border? How can we make it more secure?
You need to have rural people suggest recommendations for rural areas. In our section of the border, you need the Border Patrol present at the border. You need the electronics also, but if it's just telling them what they missed, that's not quite adequate. With the cartel scouts on the mountains, they can spot a Border Patrol vehicle 10 miles away easily.
there's got to be a dialogue like what you're saying, because a lot of times you hear this is an evasive motion of the federal government putting up this wall in my backyard. And like, I'm not up for a wall, but I am up for a lot more representation for her property security.
You have to put the border back in Border Patrol, and that means checkpoints they're empowered to put them up to 100 miles from the border is a misallocation of resources. To me, it's a misallocation of resources to see half a dozen vehicles every time I go to Tucson making the trek back and forth, which blows 2 hours out of every 8-hour shift. And what are they doing up there? I don't get it.
For me, it's not one silver bullet. I don't think there is one answer. I think it's a combination of more secure border we have, more accessible border we have. I think the forward operating bases, from everything I've understood, are very successful. I think more advanced vehicle barriers. I think using technology for virtual fences where maybe physical fences might be very difficult right now or pose environmental problems. I think drone technology. I mean, I just think there's a lot of things that Border Patrol has done or is doing and can do better in some cases.
Those are all defensive moves, though, for the crime. I mean, get in front of it and destigmatize addiction and give people a second chance to a better life and straighten people out. And you do that, you reduce your consumption and you reduce the need for all of this bulking of the border.
I can remember going back 20 years ago, 30 years ago now at this point, sorry, people were saying our problem is that there's poverty in Mexico and the jobs are in the US, and how are we going to stop this? Well, it was very forward thinking to say, well, let's work on creating a middle class in Mexico. Let's do joint manufacturing in Mexico to create that middle class. All of a sudden, the people that are coming over looking for work, not so many Mexicans coming over because there's a labor shortage in Mexico. People that are coming up looking for work are coming from further south. So this concept of bringing other nations up is helping us solve our problems. That was the first wave. I think the next thing is this country really needs to create a guest worker program that works. That's something that allows people, if a rancher in Montana needs one person to go out there and help him, or that person is going to take his wife with him, let him go. Let's create that, because that's going to allow him to keep his ranch. But it's also going to allow this other person who's been living in deep poverty to actually earn a living, an honorable living.
Undocumented leads to trouble. We need to address that problem and address the legal worker problem so that they can come in with documents and they have legal protections.
Well, I'm a firm believer of education, and I think right now by offering better education in schools and the school system, I think it would be much easier with the younger generations to teach them everything about what is going on, what the troubles, and to look for a better future. That would be an answer for me to go ahead and start doing something for the country.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.